Backyard Tree Removal, Phases 1 and 2, William Hovey Smith, 2012. Phase 1, Picking Up and Burning.
I'm Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. And what we've got going on right here is we got a huge tree down behind us. Yeah, look at that thing. And it is down in my backyard. We had 70-mile-an-hour winds, and it took that tree, as well as 3 others, and a huge limb off another pecan tree. But we're at phase 1. Phase 1? What's that? Well, the first thing you do is you pick up all this debris that was down here. Because this yard was covered with small broken limbs. Like this. So yeah, move, mama dog. Move. 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 So these go on the burn pile, as well as whatever's broken off and loose. Now we had lots of rain, and so the ground is still green and wet. And so that's why I dare do burning right now, even this late in the day. It's actually an early afternoon. So we're going to burn up all the small stuff so I can mow and actually start cutting it up in about a week.
Phase 2, Trimming with Small Hand Tools.
You can now get a somewhat closer view of the problem as we enter phase 2 of tree removal. Now this requires the use of some good knives. What I'm talking about is a thick, heavy knife with some real back on it. All right? Now, this is a historic blade, and it's a Nepalese kuruku. It has this sweeping blade with some belly and some weight, but it's also notably very thick in the back. These are heavy blades made for cutting hard woods. Yeah, they do that. Okay. This is a Swiss blade, also heavy. This is even more like 3/8 of an inch thick. And this was using for splitting firewood, although it is certainly for lopping off these branches. So we want to cut close to the trunk so we have a clear place to work. That's also why in phase 1 we started moving away all of the loose, broken branches to keep these things from tangling underfoot while you're working with a chainsaw, which is one of the most dangerous things you can do. So we're going to use these knives and we're going to clear off these branches so we can mow close to this trunk. Now you can see how much clearer this is and how I could take the lawnmower now and just run right along this very edge so that I don't have to worry about standing in knee-deep grass. For those of you who have never used a knife like this, I'm going to do a close-up of me chopping with a couple of patterns of these knives so you can see how they perform and actually how to cut with them. There are generally 2 patterns of machete kinds of knives. There are those with straight blades like this, and there are those with a deep belly like the kuruku here. What you want to do is strike with this part of the knife, or the heaviest weighted portion, about from here to here. There you get most momentum to the blade and most energy actually to the cut. Your first cut you want to be a vertical cut, like here. All right? Then you want to step back to this side and make a slanted cut, like that. This way, as you continue to cut, the piece will pop out like that just did, and you can work your way very easily down the branch. Now this is hard pecan, guys. This isn't your little soft pine or something. So this takes some chopping. And you see the size and shape of the cut here. You have a slanted cut on this side, and that's how you'll want to wind up. Then you can just lop off the smaller branches like I just did. Yeah, guys, these knives really work. We are still working on removing the side limbs from the main trunk. Now it's the next morning, and it's still too wet out here for me to do any mowing in the yard like I need to do. So I'm going ahead and continuing to do some cutting on the side branches of this tree. Now it's time to move up to a slightly larger tool. I'm using this knife to cut branches, say 1.5, maybe 2 inches thick, okay? Now, we come up to a branch that here is now about 3 inches thick. So this is time to move to a larger tool, and so we're going to work it up with this small hatchet. Now this is a good little camp hatchet, and it's made by Fox River. All right. There. So we're done. Now this is a reasonable lightweight hatchet. Now you could use other patterns, like this typical carpenter's hatchet here. Now that we have the branch cut, I cannot burn this huge whole limb out here. This limb is like 15 feet long, or better. So we're going to cut it up into smaller pieces so I can put it on my burn pile. And to do that, you go back with a knife and you start lobbing off the side branches and then cutting it up in sections so you can put it on your burn pile without your burn pile getting enormous. More of what I'm talking about so far is trimming up these branches and why I'm doing it. This is my burn pile, and I want to keep the area small so I don't burn a hole in my whole yard. So, when you have a branch like this, instead of just throwing it on the pile, okay, lob off the limbs like that. This way, they will fit much better on the pile. You'll get a cleaner burn in faster time and progress the work generally more rapidly. We're still in phase 2 using hand tools. Now I've used these and nothing else to cut the smaller limbs from these large branches here, the smaller pile over here for firewood, and behind me you'll see the lawnmower as well as a garden weight cart that I'm using to haul the debris up. Now I've kept the burn pile going all this time, and working with hand tools enables me to keep a pile on that fire going all day long. This is one of the larger limbs off this very, very large branch here. So I'm going to cut that with this axe, and you'll be able to see it. Behind me, you can see that the leaves are still on the tree and they're brown. This is about optimum for cutting. The longer the wood sits, the harder it is to cut. If you wait till all the leaves absolutely fall, or leave this thing out here for weeks and weeks before you start on it, it's going to get so tough that you cannot work it effectively with hand tools. Hand tools work well with greenish wood. Okay, here we go. starting to want to go now. Did you hear it crack? There it went. Well, done. Yeah, that took a little chopping with this small axe. Well, phase 2 has been completed. And I'm going to walk you around and show you what I've done. Now what you see is of course my lawn tractor. And that I have used to haul the big limbs around. And now the burn pile, which as you see I have kept small through all of this, as well as the remains of the tree and stacks of wood in the background. The larger limbs in the foreground have been cut from the tree and drug here with a lawn tractor, and the smaller pile now in the center of the frame is actually firewood size, so that's going to be salvaged for firewood. Some was just too twisted and crooked to use in a fireplace, so that has been burned. Now we're at the trunk, and you can see the two tools that actually did the deed. The small axe and the Kuruku knife. Now that Nepalese knife was made during World War II, and the fox axe is of recent vintage, but is a very good and effective tool. Now both of those tools have cut every bit of this wood. The garden way cart that you see in the foreground was used to pick up all the little small twigs and sticks, and now it is loaded, and that's going to be used to start the fire tomorrow. Now we actually had rain last night, so everything was wet, and the wood is partially green. So even so, I did manage to get it burned. A lot of the limbs cracked from the tree when it fell and were somewhat detached or completely detached. And so I have trimmed all those. This one long projecting limb which is sticking out, which will be the first thing I'll take a chainsaw to. You can see how long it is, and now we're going back to the main part of the trunk. We've come nearly full circle around the tree now. So I have 3 main branches still to work up, as well as, of course, the very considerable trunk of this tree. How this will be done will be covered when we bring out the chainsaws in the next video, which will be backyard tree removal, phase 3.
I'm probably best known for my book, Backyard Deer Hunting, Converting Deer to Dunner for Pennies per Pound. Got others too, like crossbow hunting, extreme muzzleloading, and practical bow fishing, which is now also out as an ebook. For more information on my books, blogs, videos, and radio show, Hovey's Outdoor Adventures, go to my website, www.hoveysmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye and God bless.